Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our lectures on the respiratory system. In this video, we are going to be talking about lung volumes and lung capacities. Okay, so I just want to start by introducing some of these terms. The term ventilation basically means the movement of air into and out of the lungs. I've already introduced these terms, but I want to formally introduce them now. Inspiration is the act of breathing in, okay? Expiration is the act of breathing out. During inspiration, thoracic volume increases. During expiration, thoracic volume decreases. And we'll be talking about that more in the next section. Okay, so we have names for the volumes of air that we move into and out of our lungs, okay? These volumes are shown on this plot. So what you have here on the y-axis is volume. The red line is the volume in the lungs at a particular time, which I guess I should have pointed out. The x-axis is time here, okay? So to illustrate these lung volumes, I'm going to walk you through some breathing exercises. Okay, so everyone make yourself comfortable, sit up straight, make yourself comfortable, or stand up, whatever you want to do. And we're going to start with this. Okay, so we're going to start by breathing normally. Now, of course, it's impossible to breathe normally once you're asked to do so, but we will just imagine that you are able to breathe normally now. Okay, when you breathe normally, this is what the volume in your air looks, the volume of air in your lungs looks like. It goes up and down. Okay, we have a name for, first of all, we have a name for breathing normally. Okay, we call that quiet breathing. Okay, so basically quiet breathing is your normal inspiration and expiration that doesn't require extra effort. Okay, so it's just kind of like the normal breathing that you do. Okay, we have a name for the volume that you breathe in and out with each breath. Okay, and we call that tidal volume, and it's denoted like this: a big V with a subscript T. Okay, so tidal volume is the volume of air moved during a single expiration or inspiration, and tidal volume is typically about 500 milliliters. Okay, are you ready to do another breathing maneuver? Okay, now I'm going to have you breathe out as much as you can. Okay, this act of breathing out with extra effort is called forced expiration or active expiration because you're putting in that extra effort. Okay, if we look at that on the graph, we can see that the volume in the lungs goes down when we do that, obviously. Okay, so we're breathing out as much as we can. We have a name for that amount that you just breathed out. Oh, by the way, you can continue to breathe now if you are still holding your breath. Okay, so we have a name for that volume that you just breathed out. It's called the expiratory reserve volume. So that's the amount of air that can be forcefully exhaled after a normal expiration. Okay, and that's usually about 1100 milliliters. Also notice that when we breathe out as much as we can, we don't completely empty our lungs. We still have some air in our lungs. We call that volume our residual volume. So that's the volume remaining in the lungs after a forced expiration. That's typically around 1200 milliliters. Okay. All right, time for another breathing move. Okay. All right, now I'm going to have you breathe in as much as you can. So go ahead and do that, and then you can go ahead and breathe normally again. So first of all, this act of breathing in with extra effort, like breathing in more than you would normally breathe in a regular breath, is called forced inspiration or active inspiration. Okay. The volume that you just breathed in is called the inspiratory reserve volume or IRV. So that's the amount of air that can be forcefully inhaled after a normal inspiration. And as you can see from the graph, it's about 3 liters, 300 milliliters. Okay. Okay, so that basically sums up our lung volumes. Um, yeah, just to recap, we have our tidal volume here, expiratory reserve volume. We have the residual volume remaining in our lungs after we breathe out. And then we have our inspiratory reserve volume, which is how much we can breathe in beyond a regular breath. Okay. The right side of this slide shows this concept in a different way. What you can think of, the way you can think of this, it's another way of thinking about the lung volumes. Your residual volume is the smallest, okay? And then on top of that, you can add your expiratory reserve volume. On top of that, you can add your tidal volume. And then on top of that, you can add your inspiratory reserve volume. Okay, so now I want to talk about lung capacities. A lung capacity is basically the sum of 2 or more lung volumes. So as you can see on the plot here, we have several lung capacities. We have the total lung capacity, inspiratory capacity, etc. There's really just one that I want you to know for this class, and that is vital capacity. So that's shown here, okay? Vital capacity is going to be your expiratory reserve volume plus your tidal volume plus your inspiratory reserve volume, okay? And I would like you to take a moment now and think about this question. How would you express this conceptually? Like, what does vital capacity represent conceptually? So take a few moments to think about that. Okay, so hopefully you figured out that vital capacity represents the total volume of air that you're able to breathe in and out that can be inspired or expired.